All right, welcome back to the gym, guys. Start with Torin.
First finger pull down. Second finger. Third finger. Pinky finger. Other hand, first finger. Second finger. Third finger. Pinky finger. Palm up, pull down, stretch. Other hand. One arm on top of the other. Switch sides. Left arm circle forward. Backward. Other arm forward. Backward. Double arm circle forward. Backward. Start low, go high. Now is it one hand on top of the other and lower back. Arms behind your back. Arms up. And down. Up. And down. And up. And down. On your heels. Bend your knees on your toes. Straighten. Bend your knees on your toes. And the heels. On your toes with your knees bent. And straighten. Your knees bent. On your heels. On your toes with your knees bent. And straight. Heels. Toes. Feet face in. Feet face out. Feet face in. Feet face out. Feet face in. Low hip walks. Side. Get down to your knee. Running. Open up. In a hollow on the other side. Open up. Elbows. Other way. Hips. Other way. Knees. Other way. Bend your knees, straighten them. Spider-Man left. And right. Left. And right. In the middle. Fingers face forward, 2 circles to the left, 2 circles to the right. Fingers face out. Fingers face in. Fingers face towards you.
Hey, this is my buddy. Hey, dog, how's it going, man? Hey, dude, go push, flip your paws over and push gentle. We're doing this stretch now.
$15 wrist push-ups.
Dog, we're doing wrist push-ups. And do wrist push-ups the other way, dog. Thank you. Look at, he's bringing me a present. Thank you, buddy. Good boy, good boy. Thank you, thank you. Good boy. Throw that thing around. Good job. Good job.
Dave, Tilly stretch.
With what he did to that sock, he's still a wild animal who can go rogue at any time, so you be careful. Don't put your hand so close to its mouth. You could lose a finger.
Separate your feet, left hand, left foot.
You're doing this to your feet right now, so you just be careful.
Right hand, right foot. Separate your feet again, left hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot. 90 degrees, left hand, left foot.
Keep that right knee straight there, Conrad. Looks like you're spilling water backwards too.
Right hand, right foot.
Got to point those toes. Keep your back and shoulders nice and tall. Reach down,
Middle.
reach down and point that toe. All right. Good
As
job.
wide as you can, left hand, left foot.
Nice and wide now. Your right leg's better than your left. It's better.
Right hand, right foot.
It's better.
Elbows go to the middle.
That looks pretty good. Maybe lock the top of your legs a little bit more. Just make those. Yeah, that's better. Like that. Like that.
Shoulders. Bridge.
All right, let's do some future star flexibility routines. Kick while lifting your arms forward, ego. No deduction. No deduction. All right, 1/10 back leg. 1/10 you put your hand down, and 2/10 not high enough. I like how you did the back leg, was much better, so I was a little bit more lenient. 2/10 not down enough. 1/10 one arm. I wouldn't look down as much as you can. I don't have any other deductions in the toe point. All right, I would say just sloppy fingers and 2/10 not down enough. Your right arm bent through there. Your toe point, I would say 2/10. It's not low enough, but I only have a 1/10 view, so I can't deduct anything more. I would say that was pretty good. I don't have a good view, so I'll just say your shoulders went over your hands and then just one in form. Come on, pushing down, pushing down, pushing down a bit more. I'll go 1/10 there, give you the benefit of the doubt, even though it was a little higher. Looking at your toes, this is 2/10 high, and I'll be done. And 8.0. All right, 8.0. No deduction, no deduction. A 1/10 toes, 2/10 too high. I'm at 3/10 right now. Good arm presentation though. Good attentiveness to detail. You're spilling water 1/10, 2/10 high, and only one arm is up. So that was 4/10. Held it well though. Spilling water now 1/10. Spilling water now forward. Not low enough. I would say 1 and 1. Toes apart, 1/10 knees. I'm going to take one more 10th on your arms. You got to get your shoulders over your hands and slide down with your knees tight. I would say I'll only go 1/10 too high, but it should be 2/10 too high. Good form though. The rest of the presentation makes me only go 1. I'm gonna say 1/10 too high. All right, 8-1. No deduction. A little bit of a waiver at the top. All right, so I'm gonna take 1/10 and then 3/10. The split's not down enough. 1/10 for the back knee. This is 2/10 not down enough. One arm is down for another 1/10. Toes are pretty good, although I'm going to take 1/10 for spilling water. I'm going to go 2/10 too high, even though I think it's 3/10 too high. Your right knee bent. You did put your foot on the ground, but I'm going to take a 1/10 because it was way too high. Your leg's diagonal, but I won't give you a deduction one time. And slide your knee around. It's good. That's good. All right, keep going. I would say 2/10's got to get those shoulders over your hands. I would say, I'll say 1/10 too high, but it might have been 2/10, and I'll say 2/10 too high here. I would say a 7.9. Got to work on those splits the most part. All right, I think that the number one way to maybe work on your splits, can you guys go into the same room? I think we should do things like a good warm-up and increase your body temperature and foam roll. And we use the splits as an indicator of whether or not you're getting more flexible, but not as a way to make you more flexible. So here's a way to make you more flexible, okay? Jackson, you're gonna lay down on the ground. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna push his foot down into the stretch. You can even take your right foot if you want and just put it on top of the other leg so the other leg doesn't come off the ground, just a little bit. All right, so Torn, you're gonna push his leg closer to his head. Now what I want you to do, Jackson, is I want you to push against Torrin's hand. And I just want you to hold it like that for about 10 seconds, not too hard. I don't want you to be able to move it. But you're gonna be working those muscles, the same muscles that you're trying to stretch. Now what you're doing is you're contracting them. And then you're gonna contract them for about 10 seconds, and then you're gonna relax the muscle. And then Torn, you're gonna push the leg a little bit further into the range of motion. Conrad's mom, what I want you to do is I want you to provide pressure to the heel. And I love your shirt, by the way. I want you to provide pressure to his heel, but allow him to change the range of motion by allowing him to let his leg come back down towards the floor a little bit. So you're gonna push him into a stretch. Yeah, like that. And then he's gonna push against your hand and allow it to come down a little bit. Allow it nice and slow. And now he's using that muscle, contracting it and changing its length. And now relax, Conrad. And now relax, and then push through the range of motion back again, Conrad's mom. Yeah, keep going. Now, support the bottom leg. There you go. And so that he stretches. That's it. That's enough. That's enough. And I want him to communicate with you. Now, Conrad, don't arch your back. Keep your back flat against the ground, just like we would do on the handstand things. Now, you can take your quad, and you can take the leg that your mom is stretching and actually help her by pulling your leg backwards towards the stretch. All the while, keep your legs straight. Keep your legs straight. I could care less how far you go. I want you to keep your back into the ground. Abdurrahim and your sister, good work, okay? Now, in this instance here, I think it's gonna be a better stretch, Abdurrahim's sister, if you flex your foot. All right, no deduction, pike, 2/10 pike in the support shape. And you're, all right, that's fine. I'm so happy to have 2/10. 2/10 on your toes, you're spilling water forward, and you're sitting backward on your bum. You're at a 9.5. Man, I want to say spilling water on your left foot, but I'm going to be nice, and I'm never nice. Okay, I'm not going to give you a deduction. I'm still at a 9.5, and usually the rest of this is pretty clean. I can't see anything. I'm going to give a 1/10 deduction because your sister is looking at you funny, so something must have gone wrong. I thought I saw an arm bend there. All right, I'm down with this. I'm down with all of it. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Wow, this is a great routine.
9.3. I'd say a 9.3. Yeah, he does good work. All right, here we go. Don't pause at the bottom there. I'm going to take 1/10. Your right arm is a little bit low, 1/10. Don't sit back. Okay, I'm going to take 1/10 because it's fun. 1/10, you're spilling water on your toes. I'm going to say 2/10's not low enough. I don't have any toe deductions because I couldn't see them there. 1/10 back knee. I'm assuming your front toe is fine, so I won't deduct. I'm assuming your knee bent. I couldn't see it, so I'm going to take a deduction. 2/10 arms not over your hands. Your toes weren't together, even though I couldn't see them. Kipper, do you agree with all these deductions? It's the easiest deduction on the planet. You never looked at the ceiling. 3/10. Ooh, waiting silently and quietly like a little viper. She walks, she talks, she's full of chalk.
All right, let's see it. Three-tenths a little high.
1, 2, and 3, remember.
1, 2. Oh, it's 2. Okay. They went back to that.
That's, yeah, for future stars, it's been that way.
Hands a little wide. I don't know if that's a thing.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. If you don't like
Hands
it.
a little closer together. That's good, though, otherwise. Form's good there. Toe, right toe. Nice there. Very nice. Good. Nice toe point. Very nice toe point. Excellent. Nice. Wow, okay. I probably only have like 2/10 so far, 3/10.
Pauses here a little bit.
Wow, that's a nice bridge. Wow.
Decent.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take 2/10
Nice.
on the ground, reaching past your feet. I always mention that, so I'm going to take 2. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was 9.97.
You had a 9.7. I was at a 9.3. Shoulders, hands, 1. Shoulders, hands, 2. Shoulders, hands, 3. Shoulders, hands, 4. Shoulders, hands, 5. Quickly. Shoulders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 5 forward. 5 backward. Arms above your head, bent. Straighten and bend. 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 And butterflies. Start with your arms by your side. Shoulders, hands, shoulders. Shoulders, hands, 2. Shoulders, hands, 3. Shoulders, hands, 4. Shoulders, hands, 5. Shoulders, hands, shoulders. 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoulders, hands, hold. 5 circles forward. And backward. Arms bent above your head. Straighten. Bend 1. Straighten. Bend 2. Straighten. Bend 3. straighten, bend 4, straighten, bend 5. Butterflies. And arms in high V above your head. Shoulders, hands, hands, shoulders. 1, shoulders, hands, hands. 2, shoulders, hands, hands. 3, shoulders, hands, hands. 4, shoulders, hands, hands. 5, shoulders, hands, hands, shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shoulders, hands, hold. Circles forward. Circles backward. Arms bent. Arms straighten. Arms bent. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and butterflies. Omar, let's go up onto your hands and knees. Face your fingers towards the camera. Let's do your shoulder pushes and hunches. Shoulder push and hunch. That's it. Look between your hands. Just keep them up there. Let's keep them up there for a good 20 seconds. Push through the floor and hunch your shoulders around. Just like Chris Gotti said, this is how you're going to hold your handstand. All right, by pulling your shoulders around the side, you're firing the muscles underneath your shoulders and it pulls them against your ribs and keeps you nice and stable. All right, Omar, with your fingers straight, push into the ground 10 times. Push. No, don't move your palms up. Just push your fingers into the ground like you're trying to hold your handstand. That's it. Just 10 times. You might not even be able to see any motion. Just push into the ground, push into the ground, push into the ground. All right. All right, one more time. Push through the ground and hunch. Nice and tall, trying to wrap those shoulders around the side of your body and remind yourself this is how you hold a handstand for a long time. Looking through your hands, pushing through, making yourself as tall as you can, and then rounding and pulling those shoulder blades to the side. 10 more pushes with your fingers, please. Kip was a gymnast of mine, is still a gymnast of mine. I'll always, and not only that, but he is also my coach, okay? So is one of the most incredible golfers I have ever seen in my life, all right? And I'll tell you a small story. We did a tournament one time, and at the tournament, Kip shot a 66.
It was my caddy.
Okay, he shot a 66. I don't know if anybody plays golf, but to see somebody be able to do that live was something incredible. Every shot was pretty much pure. And if it wasn't, the next shot was just made up for it. And it was just so beautiful. Kip's ability to compete is through the roof. It's unbelievable. And Jack, just like your body, just like your hips and your heels, okay? This is Jack here, all right? This is Jack. This is my buddy Jack. He's from the UK.
Hey.
One of the very first episodes that Jack was on, I was talking to him about his toe point and trying to get his heels together. Can you show him what I was talking about a little bit, Jack? So he had hip surgery, and then he has this.
Oh yeah, yeah, I have the exact same thing.
Okay, so Kipper had the same exact thing, and then as soon as I saw that, I was like, Jack, I'm gonna help you, and the way that I'm gonna help you is by having Kip on, right? And then, so we'll even get to how we fixed our little hip problem, all right? But so, and then Kip, after he graduated from high school, went to the military academy. He went to the West Point and competed for West Point. All right, so let me show you one of his routines, and then we can talk about his skills, and because he was pretty savage. Now, at West Point, he was able to win the ECAC all-around championship. And now ECACs is the Eastern Collegiate Athletic Championships. They have Big Ten, and they also have the one in California, and they have, but this one is for the East Coast. And to hold the ECAC Cup, that's a pretty big honor. And to be the all-around ECAC champion, in spite of the fact that he wasn't necessarily at like just pure gymnastics. He worked so hard for it, and he wasn't great on pommel horse, but he was the 2000 region champion. And he's just got great stories. So let me show you a little of his gymnastics, and then we'll get into it.
finished it off with a Hulk scream.
Right, but look at that moment, dude. Look at that moment.
And I'm still going.
Right, Jack? You see that,
One of
dude?
the coolest moments, for sure, that I've had in gymnastics and ever, really.
So-
I did that vault for 3 years, and I stuck it in practice here and there, but I was never able to stick it in a competition. And that was senior night. It was the last night I was ever going to compete at home at West Point. And it was a big crowd, and I managed to stick it. And I still hold the school record, and that was just one of the coolest moments I've had. So pretty cool to someone. There's a couple angles of this, and it's pretty cool that someone got kind of that like scope angle from down there, and I don't know, you can just see how excited I was, like how excited my coach was, and teammates jumping in the background. So college gymnastics is really, really fun. You can see all the teammates jump up when I stick it, and that's what it's all about. Just the camaraderie. You're out there competing together, doing the best you can.
Savage vault too, huh? Time I look at it, it came out so nice. So can you talk to me about the vault a little bit?
Yeah. So the first couple of years I competed this, I actually changed my technique my senior year, and it got a lot better. And I'm not recommending anyone change their technique, but I'll just talk about kind of the two different types of techniques entering the board. What I used to do, and what is still a great technique, is you get your knees up. You gotta have a really strong run and a long, big hurdle. And the more you can get your knees up, elbows back, then you can turn over quick onto the table and lift off and get as much height to do whatever you want to do. So my freshman year, I competed at a suit double pull. So I've done a very, very well, but I started to really score well when I got this vault down. But then my senior year, I changed my technique. I still wanted to get a big, huge hurdle with my knees up, but I started getting my hands behind my head when I hit the board versus my elbows back, reaching forward. And that catapulted me, turned me over quicker, and I felt like I could get a bigger block. So I had my hands behind my head, knees up, and I really turned over quick and pushed really hard. And then from there, you just sit up and do 2 flips.
Is that here?
So yeah, see how my hands are up? I mean, it felt like they are higher than that, but see, like I try to get your knees up and then turn over quick and then just lift off. And then the sit-up's really important. You want to sit up as you're rising, because if you kind of sit up into the flip as you're rising, you actually rise more and you have more time to complete the flip and land.
So can you talk about head position, tightness, shoulder position, anything right here, right there, boom. What are you trying to do? How do you push into the vault?
I generally look at my hands when they're on the table.
Okay.
And then I kind of really extend through your shoulders. So like a handstand hop. Handstand hop's a drill I did all the time, because that's exactly the pushing through your shoulders with straight elbows. Boom. Yeah, just
Do a handstand hop from like the floor to an 8-inch. Would you do it with a shoulder, like a weight vest on? How did you increase the intensity of shoulder hops so that you would increase the
yeah, just try to go as high as you can. So yeah, you could do it onto like, a 4-inch panel mat, or if you can go higher if you want, but I like to be able to like land in a handstand again when I did it.
So can you talk to me a little bit about the sit-up? And what I think is interesting is, if you watch a lot of the clinics that we've done with Lou DiTilio, we did another clinic with Mitchell about Tkachevs, and we did Michael Fletcher this past week. And he talked about these skills that are almost totally different in terms of what's going on, but very similar in terms of the physics. And it seems as though, like on Tkachev, there's 3 different phases where there's like a position where at the top in your first tap, where your toes stop and your shoulders come down, and then your shoulders stop and your toes come down, and then your toes stop and your shoulders go up. And there's 3 changes of something moving and something stopping. And it looks like it's very similar here on this vault, where you drive your heels very quickly from the board to the heels and stop them. And then once your heels stop, you kind of sit up with your shoulders. And then once your shoulders stop at the top, it's like the rest of the vault down. And
yeah, so you drive your heels, but you don't want to arch. You want to keep a kind of a rounded shoulders, but and then you drive your heels from there. So because it's easier to push with a hollow chest. You can get more, pressure.
So you're trying to leave the board with a hollow upper body, but a heel drive with your low.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Similar to like doing a front double full, because it's same thing.
Yeah, that's very true. You want to be in tight so you can twist. You still want to drive your heels because you want to, maybe do something out of it or something like that.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's take a look at just off of the horse, because, is it a heel drive or is it a heel stop and sit up?
Actually, the warm-up vault I did for this was the way I got that sit-up feel. My coaches used to put an 8-inch down, and I don't recommend this drill, but they put an 8-inch down, and I would go handspring, walk, and I'd feel myself rising, and I do a dive roll out of it. So I was doing like a dive roll from like 15 feet. So that's why I wouldn't recommend it, but it was pretty fun to do, and it really gave you the good feeling of that rising feeling, and then you knew exactly where to sit up and just do a double front.
Do you want to stop the direction of your feet directly upwards and like completely?
Right there, yeah, like towards the sky.
Okay.
The sky pretty much.
And did you do like handstand blocking drills up onto like 8 inches and mats and all sorts of like a resi mat, and then an 8-inch on top and an 8-inch on top and an 8-inch on top to develop like that vertical block?
Definitely. Vault onto mats is really a good idea. I used to do handspring fronts onto elevated mats.
Okay.
If you do a handspring front onto a mat 8 inches above, you can definitely get around the third flip. You might not like land it well, but it's safe,
Okay, so can we talk a little bit about knee position, body position in the flip itself?
I used to actually have my knees pretty close together, but it gets kind of dicey when your knees are close together, because if you kind of under rotate and your knees are close, you can bash your head into your knees, and I've seen it, and luckily I haven't done it, but it doesn't end well. So you want your knees just a little bit apart. You don't want them, the more you cowboy, the faster you flip, but that is actually something they deduct for. It's probably 3/10 versus 1/10.
Now, how many times would you do that in a particular practice onto hard mat? Like you have to limit that landing right force on your knee.
Yeah, you only did one or two a day. The best drill that I did for the handspring double front and learning how to land was doing triple fronts from a trampoline onto a mat, and really kind of trying to keep my chest up. The idea is you want to stick it, but it's good to take one step forward, because if you're flipping forward and you came up just a little short, you really can't save it. You can't really walk back fast enough. Whereas if you're a little over rotated, you can save it a lot easier. So resi jumps, those were a really good one. And trying to get your knees up. If you do 100 resi jumps, man, your legs are gonna burn.
Okay, so doing this vault in this situation, it's obvious like you had so much emotion and your coach is running at you right now. It must have been a pressure situation. How do you calm yourself down so that you can compete? I've never really seen anybody compete better than you. And you're not necessarily the perfect. You had, like we said, you had that thing with your heels that you couldn't, but you still won. And then in golf, it's not just in gymnastics. You didn't get lucky in gymnastics. That's the thing that's striking. To me, you're able to do it in golf the same way. So it's not just a gymnastics thing. That's who you are. So I want to know from the very best competitor that I've seen, how you do that.
I wasn't necessarily bad at competing, but I wasn't a great competitor kind of growing up as I was doing gymnastics. I actually got better at competing in gymnastics as I started to compete in golf. And I remember a golf trick that a pro told me was, you're standing behind the ball and you just take a really deep breath, and then you just go on autopilot. And it sounds so simple, but I started doing that for gymnastics. And so I, 2 minutes before my routine, I'm hyped cheering my teammates, but 2 minutes before I go up, and I'd visualize my routine, and I'd visualize doing it perfect. Like not putting pressure on myself to do it perfect, but just go through exactly like the right way. You don't want to visualize bobbles or anything. You want to just have a clear image in your mind. And then after you visualize, you feel good, you kind of just, you try not to think anymore. And you just try to focus on your breathing, calm down. Once you're ready to go, and you salute. And I used to think about what that golf pro told me, where you take a big deep breath, and then you just kind of put your go on autopilot. You put your brain in that subconscious mode. So conscious is when you're thinking about what you're doing, which you need to do when you're practicing. But when you're competing, you want to kind of trust what you practice and get more of your subconscious mind. So you practice your routines how many times? You don't have to think about what you're doing. So just let it happen. The worst thing you can do is get in your own way. And that simple like deep breath, just go on autopilot was really clicked with me. And ever since then, I feel like I've risen to the occasion in competitions. And you see a lot of people, they kind of get nervous and back down in competitions. Somehow I was the opposite, in that I wasn't that impressive in practice. You can ask Dan, but I was just, pilot eyes, super focused in competition. I'm just naturally competitive. And I do a lot better when I'm trying to have fun. It sounds cliche, but I've gone through a couple of phases where I've taken it too seriously, and I haven't competed as well because I was trying to be too perfect. This was at NCAA's my junior year, and like look how big the stack packed the stands were. That was one of the more memorable competitions.
I want to know what it was like to do boot camp. I want people to want to go to West Point, and I want to talk about what the best parts and why going to the West Point in the military academy is awesome, and why it's not such a, like when I was being recruited, I could have gone and I thought I was going to go to war and it was going to be a terrible thing and a boot camp was going to be the worst thing ever. And I want somebody to like dispel that rumor. And I want somebody to talk about how wonderful it was and how it was an experience that, is beneficial to everybody, so that people would be more willing to see it as a legitimate option. So what can you say about West Point and the camaraderie and the lessons that you learned in terms of character, hard work,
So I would never really saw myself going to West Point when I was younger, but started to go to the West Point Open a few times when I was in high school, and I just remember being there. It's a beautiful spot right on a bend in the Hudson River. It's pretty much castles, these granite castles. There's so much history and prestige to it. And so each year we went to the West Point Open, and I back then you could actually compete with the college guys, and it gave me the first kind of taste of what a college competition is like. And I remember I went on a recruiting trip there my senior year, and after that I just was like, yeah, I'm going, because it was just a gut feeling thing. It was an opportunity I didn't want to pass on. There's so many neat aspects to it. There's so much camaraderie. You learn so much about how to handle yourself through difficult and fun situations, and all sorts of life skills. And I thought it was a very positive experience. The war thing is a concern for a lot of people, but there's also, keep in mind, there's so many branches of the Army that really aren't combat oriented. There's a lot of logistics elements. There's a lot of medical elements. There's an engineering element. So just because you're going to West Point and going to be in the Army doesn't mean you're going to be necessarily deployed in an action zone. If that's what you're concerned about, that's not true. You can do that, but those people choose that. It's not really something that you don't have control over. So there's so many opportunities. I currently work for the Army Corps of Engineers, which is an Army organization on the civilian side, but my West Point education has given me so many tools and skills for my job there. We're dealing with coastal resiliency. So I live in Florida, in the Jacksonville area, and with sea levels are rising, and so my job now is to try to I write reports about and design measures to put in areas to help resiliency from hurricane storms and help with evacuations and things like that. So it's a lot of the skills I learned at West Point. I was a civil engineering major. It set me up so well for this job. So I'm very thankful for that. And if anyone has any questions, feel free. But both, Army, Navy, Air Force, all three military academies that have gymnastics programs are all excellent. And they've all got great gymnastics teams, great coaches. And, it's a great experience. So I wouldn't rule it out. Give it a shot. Go on a recruiting trip. See how you like it. And, see what your gut tells you.
So what was the importance of camaraderie and being able to not only, I guess, experience the full measure of what college gymnastics is like, but being successful in general? For instance, through this time of COVID, the guys on this call have been on every single night, and these guys have built almost a little virtual camaraderie. And what is the importance of that in the Army and how they teach teamwork and things like that? Can you talk about your experiences with that?
Definitely, it's huge. I mean, there's so many times where you're like tired or don't want to do something, and it's really hard to. And everyone here is self-motivated because you're on the call, but it helps to have that group setting, the camaraderie. See familiar faces, and you guys are all doing something you all love. It was gymnastics. I love gymnastics, so it's cool that connects all of us on the call, and always will.
Do you want to talk about how you got to be able to keep such good form in your heels so that Jack knows that he...
Yeah, so I have a similar issue. My knees bow outward, so I could not get my heels together. And it was, and some judges were sympathetic that knew me and didn't really kill me for it, but other judges on the national level that never really saw me, they would sometimes kill me on it, like give me a 10th on every skill almost because my heels weren't together. And I couldn't do anything about it. It was the way I am. So I remember it was before my junior year. I was back home for a couple weeks and Dan was there. And this was your idea, right? To cut out pieces of foam so that it'll mold my shin so that I can keep my heels together. So, and I socked up to my knees, and I would stick these foam things in my socks so that I could feel like a pressure point near my heels together. And and then so I did that for the first time ever in my junior year in college. And believe it or not, that was the year I won the ECAC all around. So I guess I owe it to Dan for helping me score better by keeping good form.
Just have to make a solution, right? Sometimes in life, what you got to do is just make.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. One of my teammates was giving me a hard time, like that's cheating, but I didn't think it was. I was at it wasn't. I was just trying to do what everyone else could do naturally.
You just leveled the playing field, my dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't end up doing it my senior year, but my junior year was my best year, and that was the only year I used it. So there's definitely a correlation.
Okay, let's give these guys one more really good.
Yeah, let me send you a ring video, and you can actually see them.
What was the major strength work that you did to do Maltesers, or that just pretty much came to you anyhow?
Yeah, rings was the one event that was supernatural for me. I could do a cross at 11, I think it was. I competed 2 crosses pretty much since then in my routine. So, and then I got a Maltese, I think sophomore year in high school. And then I was doing 2 Malteses my junior and senior year and all through college. So Back then, I mean, young walkies are super important now, but back then it was more about, you know, Maltese and crosses and giants. But Dan always jokes because there was a couple years in high school where I worked so hard at pommel horse was always a weakness. There was a couple years, 1 year actually, my sophomore year in high school, I worked so hard at pommel horse that whole year, and you know, it used to be my killer for all around, and I worked super hard, and I actually won New England regional championships on pommel horse. I kid you not, and me and Dan still joke about that to this day.
Man, what I did on multi, you could have held that. So I just pushed against the.
Back then, Dan, it was like 2 seconds. Now it's so much stricter.
I mean, but if you hold 2 seconds, then somebody could count fast or slow. If you hold for 2.5 or 3 seconds, then you're going to be within the window easy. So yeah, it was right between.
My leg form was better. I could have held those things better, and I don't.
What's your advice on a tuck 1.5 dismount?
Ooh, this is a good one. So every when you go through bottom, you want to be. I think it's called a cause. You want to be quarter turns. So you go the first flip, you're in a quarter turn. And then from there, you can turn and see the ground, and then you do a front pull. And if you want to do a double-double, you do the same thing. You throw, you get to the quarter turn halfway through, and then you can do a 1.5 out. And this is true for anything. Double-double on 4, you do a full to that cause going through the bottom, and then you do a 3/4 twist out, and you can watch the ground the whole time. That's why those guys that like the best gymnasts in the world can do a double-double and stick it almost every time, because they're literally watching the ground the entire time. And I learned that in college too, and that correlates to, you know, every event, and that was such a huge thing for my air awareness.
Can you give me a little bit of golf advice? What's like the one?
You want to see under the ball. You don't want to keep your head. You want to watch impact, but you don't want to keep your head too still. You want to be able to rotate through and finish with your belt to the target. People always say keep your head down or keep your head still. Yes, to a certain extent, but then you need to rotate it through and turn through to face the target. Enjoy gymnastics. You know, it's not something you can do forever. So really enjoy it while you can. Really relish going to practice every day and being with all your friends that also love gymnastics. Work hard and do it in college, because that was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And thanks for having me on the show, Dan.
No problem, Kipper. Love you so much. Good luck to you with your golf and with work and with your dog and your lady and your house and all that fun stuff. All right.
Thanks. Life's good.
All the best. I'll see you soon.
All right.
Take care.
See you guys.